attendance. And it says I'm live. Okay, let's talk about COVID. Obviously, you've heard that the COVID numbers are going back up. I came in yesterday, and a science teacher friend of mine looked at me and said, "Why are we still here?" And I said, "I don't know. I have legitimately no idea." Do you remember what day we shut down? On March 16th, there were only 78 cases in New Jersey, and we shut down on March 13th. Actually, teachers came in March 16th to get their stuff together, and then we went home. And then everything skyrocketed. And then everything came down, and they reopened. Well, we started reopening in July, right? Yeah. And then everything was, what's going on? We're almost back at peak in New Jersey. Oh, but let's shut down interstate, athletics and clubbing. That'll fix the problem. Yeah. Yesterday was the highest in a very long time. Yesterday was about 3,700 cases. So, yeah. It's going to be fun. You guys hear anything that I haven't heard? Besides like 30 students being quarantined for 2 weeks? What a fun time. Oh, gosh. Anyway. All right. I went through all of the majors that you guys submitted to me on Google Classroom. I've graded the ones that were turned in. So you need to get on top of that if you haven't already done that. Marking period ends this week. Grades are due by the 18th. Next week's the beginning of the second marking period. It's going to be great. Oh, Roethlisberger? Yeah.
He tested negative, but he was a close contact with someone that was positive.
Yeah, he tested negative in my heart.
Yeah.
That means I hate him.
But he has to get another test before they give.
Roethlisberger. Oh, interesting. Question. How do you measure how good a quarterback is? I want your honest opinions. How do you measure how good a quarterback is? What's a good measure? What's a good metric? You say Roethlisberger is the best right now.
Maybe the offense rating or something.
The offensive rating?
Not all of that.
Yeah. No, obviously, because some of them are the running backs are doing a lot of the work too. What'd you say? The arm? QBR. What's QBR? Okay. That's true. Typically, there's been a bit of discrepancy between how you measure how good a quarterback is. Matt in the chat is saying that you measure how good a quarterback is touchdown to interception rate. Interceptions are interesting because an interception could be the fault of the quarterback, but the interception could also be the fault of the receiver. Could be. Not saying it always is, but it could be. Same thing with touchdowns. I mean, the touchdown could be because the pass was so perfect from the quarterback. The touchdown could also be great because the wide receiver made an amazing move and got his feet in bounds. Or caught the ball off his head. I don't know. What's that guy's name for the Giants? No, it was David Tyrell. That's right. Yeah. No, that was a great catch too. I'm just saying, sometimes getting a touchdown or getting an interception is not always the quarterback's, ability level to do it. But anyway, you said QBR, quarterback rating. And you said if it's really high, they're really good. I'm actually going to argue that, and I'm going to show you why. Quarterback rating is what we're going to be focusing on today. Quarterback rating, for the longest time, has been the way that you measure how good a quarterback is. They call it quarterback rating, or passer rating, but they also refer to it as passer efficiency. Now, what's interesting about it is back in the day, we're talking like the 1930s. In the 1930s, they measured how good a quarterback was by how many yards they passed for. And then in like the 1940s and 50s, they measured it based on completion percentage, how good you were as a quarterback. And then the commissioner of the NFL in the 1960s went to a division within the NFL, statistics division, and said, listen, we need a better way of measuring quarterbacks. Come up with something. So they got together and they figured out this formula for quarterback rating. Quarterback rating. And it worked really well until it didn't. Quarterback rating is how you measure today how good a quarterback can potentially be. Let me show you something, a list, first of all, and see if you agree or disagree. 2019 quarterback rating wiki. Let's see if I can find it here. Passer rating. Nope, go back. There we go. So check this out. These are last year's quarterback ratings. On the far right, it says the word rate. And it's 117 at the top by Ryan Tannehill. So you have Ryan Tannehill. Would you, like last year, not this year, last year, would you consider Tannehill like a great quarterback? Shaking your head, no, why not? Maybe. But he has the highest in the league. You said if it's higher, they're better. Would you agree that Drew Brees was an elite quarterback last year? Lamar Jackson? Yeah, you better. Kirk Cousins? Kirk Cousins. You know the quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick? He had one season with a over 100 quarterback rating. Getting a 100 quarterback rating is not that difficult nowadays. Back in the day, it wasn't. Back when they first came up with this formula, the average quarterback rating was actually about 67. Let me show you something. I found a picture online last night. I found a picture online that I wanted to show you guys for quarterback rating. I downloaded it. There it is. Let's switch this over. Don't care about trades, care about quarterback rating. Look at this. Zooming in. Focus. Look at this. They came up with the formula about right here. An average quarterback rating was about 65, 67. But then what happened right afterwards? A giant spike. Do you know anything about the 1980s in the NFL? What happened at the beginning of the 80s? You don't know your NFL history? West Coast offense. Joe Montana, Dan Marino. You had these quarterbacks coming in who were focusing very much on a pass-heavy game. And all of a sudden, their quarterback ratings became inflated. Average quarterback rating in 2018 was 92.9. You have quarterbacks who have no right in their mind to be considered elite. Kirk Cousins having a better passer rating than Joe Montana. Think about that. That's what happens. What's wrong with passer rating? How is it calculated? Do you know? Ooh, we're going to talk about that today. Now, I can't say ladies and gentlemen, unless there's no ladies in the room, unless there's ladies in the chat, so I'm just going to say it anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to need those notebooks out and open. Oh, I'm so hyped. So hyped. Let's see here. Now, quarterback rating, or being a quarterback, is definitely a difficult job. Actually, you know what? I'll come back to that video another time. I'll do this first. First, let me show you how they calculate quarterback rating, just so you have an idea as to what's going on here. They calculate quarterback rating using 4 different variables, A, B, C, and D. So let's call this QB passer rating. This is the formula that they came up with in the 1970s. And I got to tell you, even though they still use QB rating to measure how good a quarterback is today, I'm telling you, it's wrong. It's flawed. And it needs to be fixed. Side note, I'm trying to end up fixing it. I really am. I'm actually trying to do something on Excel to kind of make it better, but I'm not going to give away my formula just yet. Now, actually, believe it or not, there's a different formula for the NFL versus college football. I don't know if you knew that. Some people do. Well, let's talk about the NFL one. This is for the NFL. Passer rating is calculated using these 4 variables. First, there's A. A, completions divided by attempts minus 0.3. The result is multiplied by 5. That's just A. Again, there's 4 different variables that you have to do here. Completions divided by attempt, which would give you completion percentage. Completion percentage, oh, it's not focusing. There it is. Minus 0.3, and then the entire thing multiplied by 5. Then there's B. B is yards divided by attempts minus 3, and the entire thing is multiplied by 0.25 yards per attempt. So yes, you do have to have, in order to have a good passer rating, you have to have a higher completion percentage. You also have to have more yards per attempt. Meaning you're not just throwing off 1-yard passes to your running back and expecting him to do the rest. Actually, isn't that funny? Think about this for a second, how messed up this is in the NFL. If I throw a 1-yard pass to a really good running back, but if I throw it forward, it counts as a pass for the quarterback, right? And then if that running back runs 80 yards into the end zone, it counts as an 80-yard pass. What the heck? Anyway, I'm a little bitter. Then there's C. C is touchdowns per attempt, the whole thing times 20. So you do have to have some touchdowns in there as well. And then there's D. D is a little bit more complicated. It's 2.375 minus, parentheses, interceptions per attempt times 25. It seems very random how they did this. By the way, I haven't actually showed you the whole formula yet. There's still one more thing to it, but I'll get to that in a moment. But it seems very random, all of these numbers. Seems very arbitrary how they came up with these numbers. But in reality, what they did back in the 1960s was they devised the system where the average quarterback would be about 67 to 70. And in that, they succeeded in the 1970s. Yes, average quarterback was about 65 to 70. Perfect. But today, average quarterback has a QB rating over 90. That's not right. When you have, can you name a quarterback from before Joe Montana's era that was like really, really good? Name a quarterback from before Joe Montana. Come on. Yeah, before. Somebody's music's really loud. I want to smash it on the ground. Say again? Phil Simms, that was after. Or kind of during, but after. Terry Bradshaw. Terry Bradshaw was the 1970s. Again, with the Steelers. Troy Aikman was the 90s. Yeah. Roger Staubach. Yeah. Still hear music really loud. Warren Moon was the 80s and the 90s, actually, too. Warren Moon was actually in the USFL for a while, and then he went to the Houston Oilers. I don't know. I was thinking, Roger Staubach, Joe Namath, Bart Starr, Otto Graham, Johnny Unitas. You guys got to know your football. Here's the thing. If you took Kirk Cousins, he would have a better QB rating than those other quarterbacks. The system is broken. Kirk Cousins is the perfect example. I'm just saying. You guys ever watch Gridiron Heights? You should. Everyone should all the time. But they make fun of Kirk Cousins a lot on there. Anyway, here's the final calculation. In order to get the rating, you have to do the following calculation. A plus B plus C plus D, the whole thing divided by 6, and then multiplied by 100. In order to get the rating, you have to do A plus B plus C plus D, those 4 different calculations, divide it by 6, and then multiply it by 100. That's how you get QB rating. So, I just pulled a random quarterback from today. So that you can have the opportunity to try this. Because I do want you to have the opportunity to try this. So I picked some random quarterback. I picked Lamar Jackson for some reason. Don't know why. Just because. And I picked out Lamar Jackson's career stats. As of this past week. I decided why not, So here's Lamar Jackson's career stats as of today. As of today, he has 498 completions. He has 784 attempts. He has 5,841 yards. He has 54 touchdowns. And he has 13 interceptions. Honestly, that's all that you really need in order to get this thing done correctly. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take Lamar Jackson's stats. I'm going to give you a little bit of time, and I'm actually going to split up the work a little bit. Just to kind of see, because I've already done these calculations, but I want to see what you guys do first. Who's in there? Oh, he said Bart Starr. He did say Bart Starr. Good for him. Let's see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 7 of you, so I'm going to split you up 4 and 3. So here's what I'll do. I'll split the room like right here. You guys focus on calculating A and B. Just A and B, and then we'll collaborate in a little bit. You guys focus on calculating C and D. And then once you have that done, confirm that you have the correct numbers with each other, and then we'll see what we can do. And we'll put it all together. Go. For those of you online, see if you can do it faster than everyone else. Passer rating. You can probably round just to probably 3 decimal places would be appropriate. We want to be as accurate as possible. Do you guys know right now who has the highest career passer rating of all time? It's a modern guy. No, he's close though. No, it's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has the highest career passer rating in the history of the NFL. Discount double check. Again, the original intent of this passer rating was to figure out, okay, where's the average? People better than average are good. People less than average are worse. There are too many quarterbacks today. I keep bragging on Kirk Cousins. Who's another quarterback today that's like overrated? Anybody on this list? Look at that. He has over 100 passer rating too. I don't know.
Well, now everyone hates one. Everyone knows that.
Yeah. But that's the thing, though. It's like it's not a subjective list. This is objective. This is ranked by passer rating last season. You know? Yeah, last season, 2019. Yeah. Yeah. It's just really messed up. Yeah. Now, passer rating is not the only way you can measure a quarterback and how good they are. Let's look at 2020 so far, actually. Let's look at 2020. 2020. Here's passer rating so far this season. It's just Justin Herbert. Oh, my gosh. But yeah, Rodgers is highest this season so far. I mean, this list makes sense. Rodgers, Wilson, Mahomes, Breeze. Derek Carr, is he really that good? Tannehill, Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's underrated. Yeah, I like Allen. But again, this isn't subjective. This is totally ranked by passer rating, you know? There's actually a minimum number of attempts that you have to have in a season and in a career to be considered on the all-time passing leader list or passing rating list. For a game, and I'll write this down later, for a game, you have to have a minimum of 10 passes. For a season, you have to have a minimum, I believe, of 200 passes or attempts, I want to say. And then for a career, you have to have 1,500 attempts. It's just funny. Do you guys know the trivia behind the highest passer rating for a non-quarterback? No. But you're right. It's like a wide receiver who gets the ball. Yeah. Antoine Randall L. Yeah. Another Steeler. Yeah. Another. Yeah. Oh, gosh. All right. I have my numbers here. I want to see what you guys got. Let me flip this screen over. For you guys over there, what'd you get for A? Nice. I'm going to write 1.676 just because I'm going to be a little bit more accurate, but it does round up to 1.68. Yes, it does. What'd you get for B?
1.113.
Yes, 1.113. That's exactly what it rounds up to. Good. What'd you guys get for C?
1.378.
Yes, 1.378. And D?
1.96.
0, right? It rounds down. Yeah. 1.960. Absolutely, yes. And we'll do the final calculation in a moment. Let me just kind of zoom in on my calculator right here and just confirm some of these numbers because this is exactly how they kind of did it. To do A, it's completions divided by attempts minus 0.3. The results multiplied by 5. There's your 1.676. Then it was yards, 5841 divided by attempts, 74. Minus 3 times 0.25. I did the times 0.25 separately, of course, with the parentheses. You can put that in. There's your number there. Then for touchdowns per attempt, it was 54 touchdowns divided by 784 attempts times 20. Boom, there's your 1.377 and change. Rounds up to 378. And then 2.375 minus interceptions, which interceptions, of course, are a detriment, which is why it's being subtracted off this number, times 25. There's your 1.960. These calculations are very straightforward. It's just a matter of plugging in the numbers into the appropriate location. Then, when you get the total rating, and we'll do this one together, it's adding up all of these numbers, running out of room, plus 1.9, do it again, plus 1.960, adding them all up, dividing by 6, multiplying it by 100. It's written out terribly on my paper. Whatever. Let's see, 1.676 plus 1.113 plus 1.378 plus 1.96. Boom. I'm just going to do this all in one shot. Oh, I'm not done yet. I just added them all up. Divided by 6, multiplied by 100. There he is. 1021. Usually passer rating is rounded to that. His overall passer rating is 102.1. Career passer rating. Lamar Jackson. And that is correct. If we were to go to Lamar, where is he right here? He's a bit farther down this year, right? If we went to his career passer rating, I don't know if you can see that on the bottom right corner right there. I'm highlighting it. 102.1. That's exactly what his career passer rating is. What's a perfect game in baseball? What's a perfect game in baseball? Yeah. No hits, no errors. Actually, I wouldn't say 27 consecutive, because what if he gives up a hit as the first batter? If he gives up a hit the first batter and then gets 27 consecutive outs, you see what I'm saying? No hits, no walks, no errors, no hit. Yeah, it's perfect. That's simple. What's a perfect passer rating? Do you know how they get that? Ooh. A perfect passer rating is 158.3. He's exactly correct. There have been a number of quarterbacks in the history of the NFL to post what they call a perfect passer rating. Check this out. Perfect passer rating wiki, because it just gives me the list. There have been, scroll down here, only 77 games in the history of the NFL that would be considered a perfect passer rating. 77! By the way, Lamar Jackson, last season, did it twice. Last season. There's only one other man in the history of the NFL that has gotten 2 perfect passer ratings in the same season. Do you know who he is? We talked about him today. Nope. No, I'm not going to tell you the team. Roethlisberger. I know, that messed up. Roethlisberger actually has 4 career perfect passer rating games. I think that he's tied with Peyton Manning for the most all time. But yeah, here you go. Only 8 quarterbacks have done it more than once. Only 8. Insane. But anyway, I digress. There are a couple of rules that you need to be aware of. There are a couple of rules that you need to be aware of in calculating passer rating. There are certain limits that you're allowed to get to. Click. Let's go back here. First of all, there we go. A, B, C, and D. At minimum is 0. You can't go below 0. At a minimum, it's a 0. You cannot go below 0. At maximum is 2.375. A, B, C, and D at a minimum is 0, and at a maximum is 2.375. Now, I'm not going to go into the details as to why this is true, but I'm actually going to show you the minimum for getting a perfect passer rating. The minimum for getting a perfect passer rating. A perfect passer rating is 158.3. It requires at least 77.5% completion. It requires at least a 77.5% completion rate. At least 12.5 yards per attempt. At least 11.875% touchdown per attempt. You have to get a touchdown at least 11.875% of the time you actually attempt to throw the ball. And you have to have no interceptions. No interceptions. If you want a perfect passer rating, this is what you got to do. A perfect passer rating doesn't mean that you complete 10 for 10 passes. It doesn't mean that you get 7 touchdowns. It doesn't mean that. It means this. Just because you throw the ball 50 times a game. Man, you guys know the name Rich Gannon? No? All right, cool. Let's go back to Warren Moon then. Warren Moon. You mentioned Warren Moon. Warren Moon would throw the ball legitimately 40, 50 times a game. The Houston Oilers had no running game whatsoever. They didn't. Especially since, what's his name, retired? I can't remember his name now. They had a great running back in the 70s, the Houston Oilers, but he retired. It's going to bug me now. Hold on. I got to look it up. Houston Oilers running back. Was it Earl Dickinson? Earl Campbell. Yes, it was Earl Campbell. That would have bugged me. He was so good. Houston Oilers in the 70s to the 80s. Let's look at Warren Moon. Warren Moon football database. So you know how when you guys did the baseball research, you went to like baseball-reference.com sometimes. Football database is the equivalent of that. It has all that stuff. But seriously, I got to look at attempts per game. So let me go to this season. Let me go to 1990. Get out of here, advertisement. Can I go to his game log? Where's his game log? Warren Moon, 1990. There it is. Game log. Look at this. Just look at his game log from 1990. In the first game of the season, he attempted 52 passes. That's ridiculous. What the heck, dude? I don't know. And then there was a bunch in the 40s, 48, 46, 43, 43, 45, 48. Dude was passing the ball constantly. Warren Moon. Too bad you never did anything. He didn't. Just saying. He's like the Minnesota Vikings of football. You guys know where the Houston Oilers are now, right? Yeah, the Tennessee Titans. Yeah. Fun fact. The Tennessee Titans are not the first team to be called the Titans in professional football. What other team was originally known as the Titans? Ooh. It was the Jets. It was the Jets. Yeah, they're originally known as the Titans. So my dad jokingly said to me when it was like when they moved to Tennessee and they became the Titans, he's just like, hey, the Titans are facing the Titans. I'm like, what? Shut up. Anyway. Now, there was a game last season, and I'm going to last season because the Ravens are not as good as this season. So I picked a game randomly. And I picked a Ravens game from September 8th of 2019. In which Lamar Jackson went 17 for 20. He had 324 yards. He had 5 touchdowns, and he had no interceptions. I want to know what is his passer rating. So here's what you have to do. I want you to calculate A, B, C, and D using his stats right here. I want all of you to do that now.
Was it 17 over 20?
That's his completions. He had 17 completions and 20 attempts. But I want you to calculate his passer rating, keeping in mind that at max, it can only be 2.375, meaning if one of those letters is more than 2.375, then you have to put it back down to 2.375. Calculate his passer rating. Go. I mean, don't get me wrong. Lamar Jackson's still amazing. He's just unfortunately not as good as last year. I feel like they kind of figured out how to cover him. I'm going to go through these slowly, just in case you're finishing them up. I'll show you what I got. He went 17 for 20, which is an 85% completion percentage. We said at minimum, to get a perfect one, he has to have 77.5, but that's besides the point. Minus 0.3 times 5. There's the value for A. Now, yes, that's more than the maximum. We're going to have to cap that in a moment, but I'm writing down 2.75 for A. For B, he had 324 yards divided by 20 attempts, 16.2 yards per attempt, minus 3 times 0.25. The value of B is 3.3. I'm going to have to cap that as well. All right. C, he had 5 touchdowns divided by 20 attempts, times 20. That's a 5. Okay, I'm going to have to cap that as well. You can see where this is going. And for interceptions, well, he had 0 interceptions. I mean, you could do this calculation if you want. There's no point to actually doing it because if he had 0 interceptions, that means that D is automatically that number, 2.375. And if that is the case, A, B, C, and D all have to be capped at 2.375. 2.375 times 4 would be the top of that fraction, A plus B plus C plus D, because I have to keep all of them at 2.375 at a maximum, divided by 6, times 100. Let's see what my calculator says. 2.375 times 4, because that would be adding them up 4 times, divided by 6, times 100. You get a passer rating of 158.3. Perfect. That's a perfect game right there. A perfect game for a quarterback. Again, it's only happened 77 times in the history of baseball. Hey, ballpark it. Ballpark it. How many perfect games have there? I said football. I said baseball for it, didn't I? Yeah, whatever. Shut up, me. There have been 77 perfect games in the history of football. How many perfect games have there been in the history of baseball, if you had to guess? Perfect games. Let's see. There have been perfect games, dude. We talked about Sandy Koufax's perfect game. Dude, when I grew up in the 90s, I was a fan of the Yankees in the late 90s. In 1997, David Cohn for the Yankees pitched a perfect game. And then the very next season in 1998, David Wells pitched a perfect game. It was amazing. Anyway, perfect game baseball wiki. Let's see. There have been. Where's my list?
I think it's at 23.
I want that list. I know. I just want that list. There it is, 21. I know why it said 23, though. It said 23 because of these 2 games. These 2 games didn't happen in Major League Baseball. But there have been 21 in the modern era, in the modern baseball era. The last one happened 8 years ago. Actually, 8 years ago, there were 3 perfect games in one season. 3 perfect games in one season, and it hasn't happened in 8 years. Oh, gosh. Do you guys know the story behind, what is his name? Galarraga on the Detroit Tigers? You know what I'm talking about? Oh my gosh, watch this. Hold on. Near perfect game, Galarraga. I'll just go to the end of it. Hold on.
That we've been to.
Armando Galarraga presented by Scott's Lawn
Come on.
Fitting. And the 20, number 27.
So check this out. This is him. Perfect game. 1 out to go.
Ground ball, right side. Cabrera will cut it off. Galarraga covers. He's out. Oh, he's safe. He is safe. He is safe.
Let's get to the replay.
He hits the base. He's out. Why is he safe?
Because he missed the base.
Are you kidding me? Why is he safe?
You see right here.
Look at that distance.
Oh my goodness, Jim Joyce. No. Jeez Louise. Oh my goodness.
By the way, Cabrera, he did like a groin adjustment right before you see that?
Yeah.
It was really messed up. Hold on. Go back.
No.
Yeah! Wait, no.
Oh my goodness.
Wait, what? What's that?
He was just beat.
I don't know.
What an absolute tragedy.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, gosh. Anyway, I have more videos to show you in terms of like passer rating, but I just wanted to get to this. Perfect passer rating. Now, again,
Do I need to pass it?
nah, you'll be fine. I think you'll be fine. If you get in trouble, I'm going to blame it on you. I'm going to say that you walked out of the room. Yeah. Again, I go to perfect passer rating. I talk about this right here. And I want to go back to that perfect passer rating list in a minute. Again, average passer rating season by season. Let me zoom in on this. Oh, my phone. Average passer rating season by season. It has gone up and up and up and up and up. Passer rating, the way that it's calculated, is still the accepted metric as to how efficient a quarterback is. But I am telling you, because of this chart, you have people, again, I'm going to go back to it, like Kirk Cousins, who has a better quarterback rating than Joe Montana. That's not right. There needs to be a better way of doing it, and I'm coming up with a better way. I am coming up with a better way. We'll go back to this list real quick. Hold on. Perfect passer rating games. Now, look what's happened in the history of football. So back in the 40s, there were a couple in the 40s. There were 4 in the 50s, a bunch in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And then, look at this. There was a 4-year gap in the 90s. A 4-year gap in the 90s between perfect rating games. And then in the 2000s, this thing just went off the rails. Multiple games per season, multiple players per season. Last year alone, we had 5 quarterbacks have perfect passer rating games. We had 2 in the same week. 2 in the same week. That is insane. What they found, by the way, here's a game where a guy had a perfect passer rating and he lost. You guys remember Chad Pennington? No? I didn't think so. See, the thing about passer rating is that they found that the quarterback with the better passer rating usually wins the game. But I'm just saying you can't compare them from era to era, unfortunately. You can't compare them from era to era. There's Rich Gannon, by the way. That's why I brought him up. You know the trivia fact about Drew Bledsoe? What's the trivia fact about Drew Bledsoe? Yeah. The only reason Brady started is because he got injured. That's the only reason Brady started. All right. I got a video here. Check this out. This one. Watch this. Bring this over there.
Rodgers, the quick pop for a touchdown. Aaron Rodgers after the play fake. Throwing deep. And looking for Adams, who makes the over-the-shoulder catch.
How do you judge a quarterback's performance? Well, one measure you've heard of is passer rating. What is it exactly and how is it calculated? Well, it's a very simple process. Let me walk you through it. To calculate passer rating, you need just 5 stats: attempts, completions, passing yards, interceptions, and touchdown passes. And you just plug all of those into this very simple formula. For this exercise, we're going to use Aaron Rodgers' Monday night game. He was 30 for 39 for 313 yards with 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions.
Now, the point of this video is not to hey guys, here's how you calculate passer rating, because you already know how to do that. The point of this video is they actually go through it pass by pass, showing you his passer rating as it fluctuated throughout the game. It's actually really interesting.
Let's start by calculating A, which is completions divided by attempts minus 0.3. That's 0.46923. Then you multiply that by 5. That's 2.34615. So A equals 2.34615. Next, we calculate B. The first step is yards over attempts minus 3. That equals 5.02565. Then multiply that by 0.25. So B equals 1.25641. Now on to C, a similar process. Divide touchdowns by attempts. 2 divided by 39 is 0.05128. Multiply that by 20 and you get C, which is 1.0256. And finally, let's calculate D. That's interceptions divided by attempts times 25. So because he threw 0 interceptions, that equals 0. Then you subtract that from 2.375, which of course is 2.375. Now we have A, B, C, and D, and you plug them into this formula. So we add those 4 calculations: 2.34615, 1.25641, 1.0256, and 2.375. That's 7.00316. Take that number, divide that by 6, and that's 1.167. Then you multiply that by 100, which is 116.7. And that's how you calculate passer rating. Any questions? Okay, now grab your pencils and calculate along with me as we look at each throw of Aaron Rodgers' spectacular
This is the cool
Monday
part.
night game.
Oh,
His first pass.
just so what's up? Yeah. Here's what you missed. They recap how to calculate passer rating, but this video, as I explained to everyone else, they're going to show it pass by pass by pass what his passer rating did, fluctuating throughout the game. It's super cool.
As we look at each throw of Aaron Rodgers' spectacular Monday night game.
His first pass attempt of the night on target. Jordy Nelson, first down this year to lead their team. Nice move by Randall Cobb after the catch, and he has a first down. Throw quickly again to Cobb. He was crowded and threw it over the head. Rodgers over the middle and caught for a first down. Rodgers, the quick pop for a touchdown.
So you jumped with the touchdown.
Dumps it off short. Ty Montgomery. Eagles brought a blitz, didn't get there. It's a first down to Jordy Nelson. Chopped up. Here's Nelson again. 4-man rush. Rodgers, who's 8 out of 9 passing, throws it 2 more.
Every time there's an incompletion, that thing dropped a little bit.
Randall Cobb, that's the loss of a key player to the end zone and a catch made in trap.
Now, what's interesting is if he has an incomplete pass, that counts as an attempt. Now, that lowers his completion rating or completion percentage, which might not affect his rating, but it would definitely affect his yards per attempt. Because if you have an incomplete pass that counts as an attempt, that's 0 yards on that attempt. It would bring that statistic down as well. There's multiple things happening at once.
Again, he got rid of himself. Plays it back a long way. Not with 10. But now Rodgers on 2nd and 2. Gets it off to Rodgers. Throws for another first. Starts over the middle. Moving first half in Philadelphia. Randall Cobb has the first down. Eagles crowding the line of scrimmage, and then Rodgers throwing deep for Nelson, the assistant coach for both the Packers and the Eagles. Rodgers stepped back to create some time, got it off to Starks, and he get a play fake. Throwing deep. And looking for Adams, who makes the over-the-shoulder. Couple of days. Swung out wide to Nelson. Couldn't leave his.
Look at the door.
Rodgers scrambling around. They'll all run to their designated spots. And Rodgers taken down. Aaron Rodgers dumps it off. Aaron Rakowski, the fullback, driving those left. Green Bay 6 out of 8 on 3rd down. Rodgers incomplete. Rodgers. Fake to the far side of the field. Well defended on the pack. Earned everything he has gotten along the way. Rodgers. Rodgers, quick hitter. And the ball went up in the air as a field goal range here for Green Bay. 4-man rush. They let them through to set up the screen. Starks. Not anymore. They do get a little pressure on Rodgers. Starks is open. Work to do. First down. Pressure brought by Jim Schwartz. Rodgers throws it away for game. Rodgers throws wide open. Another big catch by Adams. Breaks a tackle from Nolan Carroll. First and goal. Just inside the 2-yard line. 4 receivers to the right. They throw a fade to the left for Adams. 2nd and 14. Rodgers out of the end zone. Off for Rakowski. Lowers an eye toward the playoffs. Rodgers quick pop. First down. There's a long pass off the hands of Jordan.
Now, I want to point something out here. Something that's really interesting. Check this out. Hold on. Let me go back. Look at his rating right now. It's 116. Watch this.
Zone off for Rakowski. Lowers an eye
Watch what happens. He's going to complete this pass.
toward the playoffs. Rodgers quick pop. First down.
But the rating went down. Why is that? Yards per attempt. There's a lot of different things going on here. Keep in mind, I have several questions for you, kind of verbal questions after this video.
There's a long pass off the hands of Jordan. Rodgers, another extended play and a first down. 18, it feels like they've had the ball forever and they're just at midfield. This 4th and 5, they're going for it. Down the sideline, look at push off by Jordy Nelson. There's no flag. He got away with one, it looked like from here with James.
Interesting thing about Aaron Rodgers, the dude, when he got drafted, does anyone remember when he got drafted during the first round? He was drafted in 2005. He was drafted like number 21 or 22 or something like that. He was passed over by so many teams who just didn't want him, and he fell to the Green Bay Packers, who already had Brett Favre. And Brett Favre continued being the quarterback for 3 years until Aaron Rodgers was finally able to come in. Aaron Rodgers sat the bench for the first 3 years of his career, just under Brett Favre. I don't know. I just imagine, like, what else could he have done? So question to you. We talked about it before where a quarterback could throw a touchdown, but it's not just on the quarterback. It's also on the receiver to catch the ball. They could throw an interception, but again, it may not be the quarterback's fault. It may be someone else's fault. If the quarterback throws an interception, maybe it was the lineman who didn't block properly. Maybe it was the receiver who didn't run his route properly. I don't know. My question to you, what other statistics should be taken into account in regards to rating how good a quarterback is? That we should take into account.
Like the wide receivers too, they feel
What do you mean?
because if they have like bad wide receivers, don't run like routes the right way, can't catch the ball, won't catch balls that otherwise will be catched by the stars.
In terms of running routes, that may be difficult to measure, but in terms of, let's say, I think there is a way to like measure catchable balls versus like whether they caught it or not. You know what I'm saying? Like if for like a wide receiver,
Like a strike zone.
kind of for like a wide receiver, measuring that wide receiver might be a good idea.
I would say a drop should be considered an interception. Like if it's a drop, and the defender picks it off.
If it's a drop and the defender picks it up,
Well, like a DA, like say, like a wide receiver has a drop.
Yeah.
And then the cornerback will pick it off or something on the deflection, should be not considered.
Like instead of the quarterback just throwing it into a D-back's hands.
gotcha. So like it hit him in the hands.
Yeah.
He should have caught it.
Yeah.
Pop fell into the cornerback's hands. Interception.
Yeah, that should be considered.
Ooh. Now that's interesting. That is interesting because obviously with like quarterbacks, I'm thinking with like fumbles, like, yeah, they got to have good hands there, Maybe fumbles should be taken into account. I mean, like, no offense to Lamar Jackson. I love the guy, but he fumbled the ball like 3 times last week, That maybe it should have counted against him as a quarterback rating. I don't know. Question. Should sacks be taken into account? How do you measure that? I don't know.
think you just need to know the skill level of all the players on the team, because everybody has to do their job.
That's true.
It's just-
You're absolutely right, because here's the thing. When it comes to baseball, it's the pitcher versus the batter in that one moment. And then after the ball is hit or not hit, then everyone else reacts. But in football, everyone's moving all at once, right? And every little thing makes a difference. If a quarterback is going to make the pass, it's not just the quarterback being good with the throw and the wide receiver being good with the catch. It's the linemen doing their job. It's the tight end and the running backs and the other wide receivers doing their job, either blocking or being decoys or things of that nature. Everyone's got to work together in that one moment in order to make something happen. I agree.
Getting the ball out could be accounted for too. Like the quarterback sitting in the pocket for however long.
And the quarterback sitting in the pocket, just like not just standing there, that's on the lineman. That's a good job by the lineman then, It's hard. What should or should not be taken into account? The only thing that they've done for passer rating, the only thing that they've done is completions, attempts, touchdowns, interceptions, and yards. Those are the only things they've really taken into account. Should rushing yards be taken into account for a quarterback? I don't know. Maybe. It's hard. It is very hard to kind of figure this out. How do you accurately measure how good a quarterback is? That was kind of the idea of Moneyball. Again, I wasn't actually legally able to show you guys Moneyball this year, or not legally, I should say. I didn't efficiently have any at the time. But in Moneyball, they were like trying to evaluate players. And like, oh, yeah, in baseball, yeah, this guy's got a good swing. He's got a good arm. He's got a good face, blah, 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 blah. And in one scene, they're literally like, Yeah, and I mean, but this guy, I mean, have you seen his girlfriend? They're like, what do you mean? It's like, oh, his girlfriend's not that good looking. Oh, okay. Well, what does that have to do with anything? Oh, well, if he doesn't have a good looking girlfriend, he doesn't have any confidence. They were literally measuring players like that in the 1990s. It's messed up. It's messed up. There has to be a better way. And they're figuring out better ways along the way, you know. Ugh. So, just to kind of wrap this up, because I know we're going to be closing in about 3 or 4 minutes. We are going to be doing a little bit more with passer rating as time goes on. I'm going to probably throw something at you on Google Classroom before the week is done. Next week, I have you Tuesday, Thursday, as long as the world doesn't blow up, right? I'm just saying. I don't know. By the way, I'm super, super excited and pumped. Do you know who we're going to be talking about soon? Pat McAfee. The punter? Do you not know Pat McAfee? Pat McAfee is hilarious. Pat McAfee is hilarious, and he's one of the best punters in the history of the NFL. No, he wasn't, dude. He came into the league in like 2009, and then he retired in 2016.
Didn't he like get famous for like cracking somebody?
Probably, yeah.
There was like a clip of him like cracking.
No, he was pretty young. He's only like 36 right now. Here's the thing about Pat McAfee, really cool thing. I watched this one clip where the ball was hiked, and it was like way off to the side. And he's like, crap. And he grabs the ball. And he has to punt it. And here comes the lineman at him, right? And he fakes the guy out and then punts it down like 40, 50 yards. Like, how good is he? Anyway, but we're going to talk about that as well. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to end the stream. See y'all later.